Alright. Alright. Please let me know, everyone, if you can hear me. Good morning, good afternoon. Let me know if everyone can hear me. I'm sending it to the Telegram as well. Let me know if you can hear me, if it's lagging. Yes. Goedemiddag Matthijs. Goedemiddag. New mic. No, it's not a new mic. I'm currently in abroad. I am currently in Colombia, everyone. So my microphone is a little bit worse, you could say. My setup is a little bit different as well. My internet is absolutely ass. So my internet is very bad. So yes, this will be saved in the account. If Terta, if you go to the live stream, then it's right there. I'm doing great. Thank you. Is it snowing in your room? It is raining currently. That might be it. I'm not sure what it is. But my internet is very bad, so it might be a little bit laggy. Excuse me for that. Ja, je weet het, Tom. Je weet het, wereldreiziger. Come on. It's blurry. Yeah, that could be. It's my internet is very, very bad. So I'm currently on data as well. Uit België. Love to see it. So, how's everyone doing? I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. What's up? What's up, Tom? What's up, Victor? Love to see it. Screen not clear? Yeah, quality of voice is not as good. Yeah, true. I don't have my usual microphone with me, so it's my headset. What's up, Mwozu? What's up? I'm doing great. Thank you. All right, let's get it started. After as well, I don't have the chat on my screen, so it's on my phone. So yes, this is live, Hope. This is live. I don't have the chat on my screen. It's on my phone. So again, my response might be a little bit late as well. Just so you know about the conditions, etc. I'm doing great, Isam. Thank you. From Morocco, love to see it. The weather is pretty nice in Colombia. It's currently raining, but overall it's been very nice. All right, let's get it started. So, if we take a look at the dollar first, then I'm not sure if I mentioned in the previous free weekly forecast. I did mention it for the money making team members, but right here we have two fair value gaps to work with, and this is what I want to touch on a little bit more. So to touch a little bit more on the video that we went over, the fair value gap video, we have this fair value gap right there, and we also have this fair value gap right there. Now, I would always prefer this fair value gap, and I'll tell you exactly why. It's because this fair value gap right there is overlapping with that high. So whenever we come above a recent high or below a recent swing low, especially a big one like this, so this is just an intermediate term high as we know it from the market structure, etc., then right there, that is where we usually have an overlapping fair value gap. Once we have that, then we can just see this as very basic support. That high is support with that fair value gap. We want to see it come into that fair value gap and then expand higher off of that. That's ideal. Now, of course, we do need to take into account as well the weekly and the monthly, because the monthly is just closed as well. Now, the monthly, if we look at it again from a fair value gap standpoint, then we have 1, 2, 3. So this is our expansion phase of the fair value gap. Now, the third candle is always a bit iffy, as in it can do multiple things. It can keep on expanding. It can also consolidate and then wait for a new fair value gap to be created. But here we can see, all right, we can expand higher still. So on the weekly time frame, it's the same exact scenario where we have 1, 2, 3. Now we do have a very small fair value gap sitting right there, which we could reach for. So it's taking into account this fair value gap right there and into the daily right here. Now, if we were just looking at the daily right here, I would like the ID to already expand higher, because this right here, this fair value gap is getting respected currently. Can you see the difference between this fair value gap when we came into that fair value gap and this fair value gap, wick, and a body closed inside of it. So that is nice to see. So if we go into the 4 hour right here, what we can see is any fair value gap here that is holding. We have fair value gaps lower, perfect. They are getting disrespected. Fair value gap higher right there, perfect. So if we do see something like this, that could be very nice actually. So that might be interesting as well. I'm currently still bullish on the dollar as well. So if we take that into account, bullish on the dollar, then what can we see on ES? Let's first look at the monthly as well, because we have a new monthly candle. Monthly was, I was mainly aiming for this overlapping part right there. And there was the same premise, as in we're not expanding higher off of this fair value gap, so I want to see an overlapping part. This is just a mitigation block on the lower time frame with potentially an overlapping fair value gap right there. Just a mitigation block, that is the most important part right there. So if we go into the weekly as well, we are seeing a weekly fair value gap being created. Now, that is pretty interesting because the weekly fair value gap also is a pretty strong magnet, as in the weekly might want to gravitate towards that first to continue lower. So we need to take that into account when we go into the daily, because then once we have this daily fair value gap right there, we might not want to expand lower off of that daily fair value gap, and we might just do something like this, sweep all this, and then continue lower right there. So that is something you need to take into account as well. Now, again, since the dollar is still bullish, I'm still bearish here on ES as well. And right now, I want to wait. In the beginning of the week, I just want to wait. I want to see what are we doing. If we are disrespecting everything here, these fair value gaps right there, then I would say, all right, we are coming into that weekly fair value gap and continuing lower off of that. If we respect that 4 hour fair value gap that is sitting right there, and we already continue lower off of that, then I want to see, all right, if we create a new 4 hour fair value gap lower off of that, then I want to get involved in there. So that is how I view that as well. So that is something to take into account. Let's see. NASDAQ. What is NASDAQ doing? Yeah, NASDAQ came into the daily fair value gap. Now, just based on the daily fair value gaps here and just the daily, I would say, like we mentioned in the video as well, is yes, we can continue lower off that because we're respecting that daily fair value gap. The only thing is, now price takes into account that it also created a weekly fair value gap. So the weekly fair value gap is obviously the stronger one. Now, based on this close as well, it is very nicely for it to trade into that potentially and then continuing lower after that. What can it reach for again? This is what we went over in the video as well. We first have this target, which we are currently seeing some kind of rejection, but I would still want to see lower prices as well. And lower prices is that overlapping right there. After that, I want to reevaluate how are we reacting at that overlapping part, what are we doing, etc., etc. So in the weekly right here, we can aim for that weekly fair value gap. Now, we might not reach for that weekly fair value gap. Then, if we do get a daily fair value gap lower off of that daily fair value gap that we reached into, then right there, that is perfectly fine to get involved. Or potentially on the 4 hour, etc. Same exact premise right there. But don't be surprised when this high right there gets swept. So when I mentioned in the video, the 1 hour fair value gap that is sitting right there and the 1 hour fair value gap that is sitting right there, those are high probability still in the same week. So on that Friday, they were high probability. But after that, obviously it's not high probability anymore because we have a weekly fair value gap above it right there. So that is what you want to take into account as well. I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but in the video, when I mentioned the high probability fair value gaps, they are constantly in the current lag of price. So constantly in a current structure lag. What I mean by that this right here is not a high probability fair value gap anymore, right? This is not something I would trade off of. I'm constantly looking at the current swing highs and swing lows. Where are they? What is the lag that we are trading in right there? What are the fair value gaps doing in that particular lag? That is constantly what I'm doing. So that is what I'm doing on every time frame. And when you do that on every time frame, then you can get to a very clear bias as well. So that is my thought process behind that on YM. On YM, we saw a beautiful move as well, coming into the daily fair value gap right there on Friday. Then on the weekly, is there something I need to know on the monthly? Not really. Price. So the way I see it, right? If we don't have fair value gaps to work with, then price is going to create fair value gaps. So that is something I did not touch on in the fair value gap video, because there's so much to talk about. It would have been a 2-hour video. Now I know some of you won't mind probably, but the thing is right there that if we are not having a fair value gap, then we are likely creating a fair value gap. So how can we create a fair value gap here? With the monthly candle being another expansion, potentially reaching for these lows right there, and then afterwards it just stalls. After that, it consolidates until we get that monthly fair value gap right there, and then we can sting into it and continue lower off of that to create a new expansion, etc., create a whole new cycle. So that is how you can view that as well. Then on the weekly, right here, now this is interesting because the weekly time frame, this is something, again, the fair value gaps, they go very deep, as in, this is also not something I mentioned in the video, because there's so much for me to talk about. And right here on the weekly time frame, we have this fair value gap. So I know some of you, and you're not wrong, don't get me wrong, you're not wrong, but some of you may think, all right, then we have this weekly fair value gap. Ario said, all right, if we have that weekly fair value gap, we can trade into it, we can continue lower off of that. Yes, that is true, but look at how that third candle closed right there. We have 1, 2, 3. That is our very basic, easy fair value gap pattern. So that creates the fair value gap that is sitting right there. But look at the third candle that creates the fair value gap. That is a very low close. When you have a low close like this and you're close to that drawn liquidity right there, is it very logical again to continue higher like this and then continue lower? Price, if we measure it, is closer to the drawn liquidity right there, 438, than to the fair value gap, which is 641. So it's not logical for price to come into that fair value gap currently and then continue lower. So what would you do in this case? Well, in this case, we do have a daily fair value gap that is sitting right there. If we then create 4-hour fair value gaps lower off of that as well, then this could be very nice to trade off of, since we are already close to the drawn liquidity right there. That's the same premise. What I also didn't mention in the video, it sounded like I didn't mention a lot of things. I might have to remake it. Right here, we had this daily fair value gap right there on NASDAQ, and then on the 1 hour, I mentioned this fair value gap, these fair value gaps right there, that they are high probability. It's because we had this monthly, let me see, where was the monthly? Monthly was this, I believe. Was it that? I'm not too sure. Yeah, it was. You had this monthly drawn liquidity first, and then you had that monthly drawn liquidity after that. So again, the 1 hour here, what I was trying to say in the video as well, is the 1 hour is your guide in here, as in the 1 hour will tell you, does it want to trade into the daily fair value gap first, or does it want to trade into the monthly drawn liquidity first? Whichever one it guides towards, that is the one you want to be trading. So at this moment in the video right there of that bullish fair value gap, I mentioned, all right, there, because we have a bullish fair value gap there, price might want to trade into that daily fair value gap. But if we wait for time, and that is going to be another video where you wait for time, that is the next element. If we wait for time, then we can see that during equities open, we already disrespected that fair value gap. We created new fair value gaps right there. So that is when you want to look for shorts right there. So if we add that new element of time, that's going to be very interesting, because now we talked about order blocks, fair value gaps, and it's not a series, but they do add on to each other. So the videos, they add on to each other, as in you have order blocks, you have fair value gaps, and now we're slowly going into time as well. That is going to be very interesting. So that is just a tip that they do add on to each other. So that is how I view that. But on YM, we mentioned 4-hour fair value gap lower could be very nice as well right there. Beautiful. And again, don't get me wrong, if we do sting into that weekly fair value gap, it's not that I would be bullish. I would still be bearish right there. But it's just not something I would prefer. I would prefer a lower premium array. All right, DAX. Let's look at it. Weekly, what is the weekly doing? What is the monthly actually doing? Might actually finally be creating a new fair value gap. When is the last monthly fair value gap? It was at the beginning of the year. It's crazy. Weekly fair value gap. Let me see. Potentially creating a weekly fair value gap. On the daily, what are we doing? We came into that order block that is sitting right there. We had a nice rejection lower, so that could be nice. So we can potentially continue lower off of that as well, then create a potential weekly fair value gap. That might be interesting. Let's see what on the 4-hour we are doing. All right, we have a nice disrespect of this bullish fair value gap. That is very important for me to see. And then we have this bearish fair value gap sitting right there. So that could be very nice. That could be very nice. Again, you can also see that in this moment, this order block can hold, right? That can hold, but in this moment, I am almost sort of ignoring the order block, as in I'm just looking at the fair value gaps right there. This fair value gap, that is not really what I would want to see when you come into an order block right there. That's not an aggressive reaction I would want to see, preferably for me to have the confidence to trade off that order block. That is not really what I would want to see. So again, here we could be very bearish off of that for our fair value gap. Could be nice, could be nice. Australian dollar, US dollar. So this has been ranging, and this has just been in seek and destroy conditions right here. Now we finally have a daily fair value gap to work with. But dollar being bullish, I would want to see lower prices on Australian dollar, US dollar. What can we go lower off of? I'm not too sure. It's just been in one big range right here. So the least I would want to see is a daily fair value gap lower. That is what I would want to see. But if I do remember correctly, yes, this is what I do like to see. We have created a monthly fair value gap. So it is very important now to go over your own charts as well and see where are the new fair value gaps. They give you so much to work with. And what I mean by that is, for example, we have this monthly fair value gap right there. Then if we go into the daily time frame again, then we have a bullish fair value gap. And now the bullish fair value gap makes a little bit more sense. Because if this bullish fair value gap right there wants to hold, then it can trade into what? It can trade into that monthly fair value gap that is sitting right there. Once we trade into that monthly fair value gap and we get rejections lower, so we get bearish fair value gaps again along the lines of this, then we have a lot of context to work with to target this low right there. So the monthly fair value gaps, they give you an incredible amount of price action to work with, and that can be extremely high probability, and that is what I like to see as well. So even what I like to do is I like to go over all the pairs and I just mark out the newly created monthly fair value gaps. That's it. And that gives you so much to work with as well. That is very nice. I'm not sure if I'm lagging, by the way. I see the sign here. So that means my internet is not that stable. So I'm not sure if my voice is lagging. I hope not. I hope not. But yeah, that could be very nice. So in this case, again, dollars higher. Could it do that? If we do get into that, then I might be very interesting. But I'm not forcing this long idea right there. I'm not forcing that. Euro, US dollar. So let's see, what are we doing? Not creating a monthly fair value gap just yet, but we do have a very clear monthly fair value gap that we can target right there. So if we look at this, then we have a nice move lower actually. Yes, very nice. On the weekly, not creating a weekly fair value gap just yet. Then on the daily, we came into that order block as well with that fair value gap that is sitting right there. That could be interesting to continue lower off of. Would want to see something more on the 4-hour to work with. Currently not that much to work with. If we get something new, then that could be very nice. If we even get a daily fair value gap lower to target this monthly fair value gap right there, that could be very nice as well. I don't know if you hear my table moving. Let me fix that really quick. Yes, perfect. All right, so that could be very nice. Again, still bearish on the U, still bearish. All right, GU, what is GU doing? Let's look at the monthly first. Monthly target could actually be these swing lows right there. Now that's still pretty far away. In the meantime, I think even before that, we could very easily create a monthly fair value gap as well. So on the weekly time frame, what are we doing? It wants to load. Yes, perfect. On the weekly time frame, we have this weekly fair value gap that is sitting right there. That is pretty interesting actually. And this low right there is overlapping with that as well. That is actually pretty interesting. As in, if we do create something like this, then we have a very nice premium rate to continue lower off of. So that means the daily I wanted to have in context of the weekly right here. Daily also has fair value gaps right there in that weekly fair value gap. Could be very nice. So here I would ideally not like to trade off of this fair value gap lower, of the 4 hour fair value gap lower, and I would see it as just a fake move right there. That could be very nice actually. Does look quite interesting. I like that. I like that way more than EU as well, because EU doesn't really have a premium rate to work with right now, at least for me. So GU is the better setup for me right there. Then USD Canadian dollar. Let me remove all this. It annoys me how much I have on this chart. So right here, this is what I didn't go over in the fair value video as well, or I went over it in a different example, but I mentioned this to the money making team in the mentorship. And what I said was that right here, we have a weekly fair value gap on USD Canadian dollar right there. And then we also have a daily fair value gap right there, which seemed to get disrespected. At this moment in time, before we got that Friday, so before this huge candle right there on that Thursday, at the end of that Thursday, I mentioned that I do still like the ideas of longs, even though we were respecting this weekly fair value gap right there, we were disrespecting this daily fair value gap right there. I still like the idea of longs, and that is because when we are in the middle, so let me actually replay this. When we are here, at this moment, we are in between this premium on the weekly fair value gap and that daily discount rate, with as well a weekly fair value gap supporting the idea of going higher right there. And the dollar as well supporting the idea of going higher. So essentially what I did was I was stacking up arguments. I stacked up arguments, and the arguments led me to have a bullish bias still. So at the end right there, what we can see and what I discussed in the NASDAQ video, on the fair value gap video right there on Friday, oh no, Saturday, yesterday, sorry, time zone is messing me up. So I mentioned right there that this is no man's land, as in that is not really the highest probability price action. And that is the same on NASDAQ. When we go into NASDAQ and touch on the video a little bit more, I mentioned this daily fair value gap right there and that weekly fair value gap that we had sitting right there. This fair value gap is the highest probability, as in that one is certain that it wants to go lower. This daily fair value gap that is sitting right there and battling in between a weekly fair value gap we had sitting right there, that is not really that high probability. As in, the shorts are not high probability, the longs are not high probability, but this fair value gap, that is high probability. And if you know, just a little golden nugget as well, if you know from the A to Z guide, what did I always tell about or talk about? You have that ST and you have that second fair value gap. That second fair value gap is your highest probability fair value gap. That is where you want to get involved. So that is, again, I know probably some of you picked up on that, but that is exactly what I meant with that as well. So that's the same here, where we have this daily fair value gap, and it's just coming into that weekly fair value gap. That daily fair value gap is not really high probability, as in you're going to get chopped around, you're likely going to take a loss before and after it does something like this, creates a new daily fair value gap. That is your highest probability fair value gap right there. So if you wait right here for this Monday to create a daily fair value gap, that is going to be an extremely high probability fair value gap. So that is what you want to trade off of, to target that high right there. So that is my thought process behind that as well. Again, I mentioned right that the reason that has no man's land is because basically it's the first move. So the first move where you come into a premium array as well that is sitting right there, then we usually have some kind of rejections. So that is usually as well what you see when you take an entry. Let's see if we, on NASDAQ, we took this 1 minute entry. Was there a bullish fair value gap sitting somewhere? We can actually take a look at some multiple entries as well. But right here, what you can see is that when you encounter a bullish fair value gap, there's going to be a rejection, some kind of rejection, and that rejection is usually scary. So this rejection, for example, where we come maybe into a swing low, and we have a rejection like this, that is basically no man's land, where it's pretty scary on both sides of the market. So that is what I mean with that. Now let's go over, so USD Canadian dollar, daily fair value gap right there, full margin longs, please. No, I'm joking. Don't do that. Not financial advice. USD JPY. All right, what is the monthly doing? Do we finally have, no, not yet. We are potentially creating a new fair value gap. Same process, that we are that close to the drawn liquidity right now. That is very interesting. That is very nice. On a weekly basis, this fair value gap to work with. Now, again, in this case, we have this very long third candle. So the idea of going into that weekly fair value gap right there, just don't really like it. But again, it can happen. If it does happen, then I'm still bullish, of course. I still want to trade off of that. Let me see on the daily right here. We came into that daily fair value gap right there. So a very easy target could be that swing high, right? That is your context. Context we always talk about. From that to that, that is your context right there. If we go into the 4-hour right there, we have a 4-hour fair value gap sitting right there. Perfect. So that is ideally what you want to be trading off of right there. If you have news supporting the idea, and I personally have not looked at news yet, I just know that it's a new month. So we obviously have, what is it? NFP on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Could be, am I still live? Yes. could be one of those weeks where you have NFP on the second week, but all right, so that might be interesting if you have news supporting the idea, of course, on Monday. Silver, all right, silver, yes, it finally delivered towards those lows. Now, right there, we are very close. Again, I'm still just bearish right here. Let's see what we are doing on a monthly, actually. Still creating a potential fair value gap, but it would have to expand lower immediately. Target, that low that we reached right there, and then eventually on the monthly, that can be a next target as well. That's very far. That's very far still. All right, then we can reach the end of that fair value gap as well. Could be a next target. On the daily time frame, what are we doing? If we create this daily fair value gap right there, that could be very nice to continue lower off of as well. So something along the lines of that, that could be very interesting. And again, that will tell us if we are sweeping that low or we are closing below it and we respect that fair value gap, etc. That will tell us a lot. So here, again, the same on the dollar, you want to trade off of that fair value gap that is overlapping with the swing low right there that we just took. So once you have that, that is exactly what you want to be trading off of. Then on gold, what are we seeing? Monthly. Come on, perfect. Same process here. We have this swing low that is sitting right there. Then on a weekly basis, all right, we are opening with a new potential creation of the weekly fair value gap. Interesting. Then on the daily time frame, we came into that daily fair value gap already. So right here, we can either wait for a new daily fair value gap lower, which you can trade off of, or 4-hour, which we have this low right there overlapping with that fair value gap. That could be very nice as well right there. That is pretty interesting. Still bearish, of course. Still bearish. Bitcoin. Bitcoin was actually moving, which was pretty nice to see finally. It has not created a new fair value gap though in the last, well, bearish fair value gap right there on that Sunday. But I would want to see bullish fair value gaps. Once we do get bullish fair value gaps, we can finally look to target that monthly CB again, potentially. It's just taking a very long while. All right, crude oil right here. So this is pretty interesting, and this is where again we pay attention to the details. And this is what I mentioned as well when we have a fair value gap and an overlap fair value gap. So let me go over that. So if you can see right here, the recent lag is this right there. That is the recent lag. So on our flood and lot basis, then this is our recent lag. That low towards that high. In that lag, you have, let me remove all these things. You have this right there, that fair value gap, and you have that fair value gap, and you have this fair value gap. That fair value gap is overlapping with a high right here and right there as well for your mitigation block. So when we have this, this fair value gap is the most irrelevant fair value gap there is. And the reason for that is because price either wants to continue higher off of this fair value gap or this fair value gap overlapping part, not the small area that we are seeing in between the overlapping part and the fair value gap low or high right there. So this fair value gap is irrelevant, as in this fair value gap is one. It's one discount array. This fair value gap right there is also one discount array. This small area in between the high, so this area right there, is also one. Then the area below that, the overlapping part, that is two. So if price wants to continue higher, why should it continue higher off of that one if it's equal towards that one? That doesn't make sense. So if price is disrespecting this weekly fair value gap, which currently it's not really continuing higher, as in it's not creating a new expansion phase off of that fair value gap, so we could reach for that overlapping part right there and then continue higher. So that's my thought process behind that. And then on the monthly, what are we doing? All right, now it's also taking into account that we do have monthly fair value gaps to work with as well. And this monthly fair value gap is actually overlapping with that weekly overlapping part. So I would prefer trading into this overlapping part that is sitting right there. Once you trade into that overlapping part, I would want to see price trade into that monthly fair value gap sitting right there as well. So that is currently already tells me a lot about the drawn liquidity. Now, what do we need in order for us to? Well, the first part we have already seen, as in if we go into the daily time frame, let's remove some noise right here. Then right here, once we do look at this price action, we are currently disrespecting this daily fair value gap. We have a very aggressive reaction lower. Now, this is very interesting because this is usually how tops form in the market. This is a fake top that we discuss in the money making team as well. There's a fake top. Usually what you see is a last push from a fair value gap, in this case a weekly fair value gap, to take out that weekly or to take out the fake top. Then you get an ST lower, and then you get another fair value gap lower. That other fair value gap lower, that's exactly your highest probability fair value gap. Then you can look to target that weekly right there, and that monthly fair value gap, that is very high probability. You can also already trade off of the daily bearish fair value gap that we are potentially creating right there. So that might be very interesting as well. So in this case, I would actually be bearish on crude oil. Again, not doing anything. I'm still waiting, but eventually I would look to, I would want to see bearish prices, but currently still waiting, of course. Still waiting. Nifty. So on Nifty, we had the same thing as we had the fake bottom right there. Now on Nifty, the way we came into that weekly fair value gap as well, this is the exact same scenario as in what we just saw on crude oil. We have this fake top. It's just different time frames, as in it's all fractal. It's just different time frames. We have this fake top right there, and then we come into a fair value gap right there. We have this last push higher. Now we have an aggressive ST lower. This aggressive ST, this is how tops form in the market. Again, this is a study I've done a long time ago. The money making team knows about it. It's what is it, 2022, somewhere in the beginning. I used to study this a lot. How do tops and bottoms form in the market? This is exactly how tops and bottoms form in the market. So let me go over the thought process behind that. You have a fake top like this. A fake top is defined by having only one-sided candles without taking anything to the left, really. So you only have bullish candles right here. You then have a discount array that is sitting right there on either the same time frame or the time frame above it right there. And then what you then see is price moves one last time off of that discount array right there, whilst giving a swing failure on here. So if we zoom in on this, there's swing failures right here, but not a breaker formation. That is important. The swing failures right here, coming into that weekly discount array, it pushes to push above that fake top right there. Then it creates the real top right there, and then it wants to target this opposing liquidity right there off of a fair value gap that is created, which is there your ST. And then this, after that ST, when it creates a new fair value gap off of that, that is your highest probability fair value gap. That is the whole thought process behind everything right there as well. So then on the monthly, I believe we had a nice overlapping part. We first off have this high. We also have something like this right there. That's why Nifty is a bit strange, of course, but that is very interesting. So that weekly fair value gap is something we could trade lower off of based on that candle close as well. right there. We can trade into that. So that is looking very, very nice, actually. I do quite like that. I do like that. Bearish on Nifty. Bearish on Nifty. All right, let me actually see the chat. So I need to open the chat on my phone, actually. Let's see, where are we at? Let's see if I'm actually still live. Would also be nice. Yeah, what's up, Eric? Yeah, sometimes I have to write so fast. Sometimes I talk too fast, I also think. uh, let me see. I'm currently checking. I saw on someone on Twitter that you recommended a book. I sort of bought it. It's very interesting, but what way did the book change your life? In every way, Eric, to be honest. In every way, it changed my life, to be honest. In every way, as in just my whole life in general, in what I wanted, etc. And yeah, in every way, it was very interesting. It just changed my mindset to be very positive, etc. Eduardo, in that case, what I would do is I ignore the gaps. I don't use the gaps. I just focus on the vertical gap. So what you can do as well, and what I sometimes recommend, is if you go to the indicators and you go to no gaps candles right there and you click on it, then it just removes the gaps right there. This is how I would view price action. I just look at the fair value gaps itself right there. Just almost filtering out the gaps. What's up, ACK? How you doing, brother? Watching for the first time, welcome. Love to see it. Use a monthly for backup on Bitcoin. Let me see, actually, my friend. Let me see. I actually missed this. It's great that you said that. Right there, we would have to overcome that monthly backup first. So that is quite interesting. We will probably see a rejection lower as well from that. So that is, again, when we are in no man's land. If we get a weekly backup as well, then it might be interesting. I don't know. I still like the idea of trading into this monthly CB right there. Because for me, there's not really a reason why price stopped here. So this monthly CB is still pretty interesting to me. On Australian dollars JPY, let's see, Hope. Let's see. Absolutely love your tweets, by the way, Hope. Love to see it. I think that's you, right? I think that's you. Let me remove everything. Let's just start over. Monthly time frame. Monthly can still expand higher. Monthly basis, I like trading into that swing high. That is currently what I think it's reaching for based on a monthly. Then on the weekly time frame, weekly is still supporting that ID. The only thing I don't like is that we don't have weak traffic gaps going higher right here. So that's what I don't like. If we go into the daily time frame, we do have a daily traffic gap to work with. So that could be interesting right there. That daily traffic gap sitting right there can very much reach for this overlapping part that is also right there. So that is very interesting. In this case, I also would not go into the 4 hour. I like the idea already of continuing higher off of this right there. So that is actually very interesting. I do quite like that. I do very much like that, actually. It's very nice. Looks nice. It's really that simple, Eric. Yeah. It's really funny. Let me see. No worries, Adolfo. Love to see it. Canadian dollar. Let's see, Koen. Let's see. Canadian dollar JPY. If it wants to load. I'm a bit afraid that what is it? The stream might turn off at any moment because the internet just quits. All right. Let's remove everything. Monthly. What are we doing? We are potentially creating a We just came above those highs as well. Now the monthly is not closing above it, which is pretty interesting. Let's see what we're doing on a weekly. On a weekly, we are creating this fair value gap right there. Again, sweeping those highs right there. All right. Weekly right there. If the weekly wants to continue higher here, my thought process is that if the weekly wants to continue higher here, then it will continue higher off of this vertical or that vertical. No, nothing else. If it wants to continue higher, likely continue higher off that first vertical sitting right there. If it truly wants to trade above that high and create a monthly vertical. If we disrespect everything, then price will likely reach for something like this or even this, where it fails to create the monthly vertical. Daily right here. So we have this weekly vertical gap right there, and we have this daily vertical gap right there. In this case, what I would like to do is, once we reach into this daily vertical gap right there, I would like to go into the 4 hour to see if we get any bullish vertical gaps to work with right there potentially. As well, taking into account that we do have a daily vertical gap in the making right there. So currently I'm a bit 50-50 here. I'm not too sure what it wants to do right here. I would want to wait. I would want to wait for either bullish vertical gaps or bearish vertical gaps to get disrespected. But currently a bit 50-50 on this, to be honest. Euro Canadian dollar. Euro Canadian dollar. Euro Canadian dollar. What are we doing? Monthly time frame, we came into that vertical gap that is sitting right there. On the monthly time frame, we are seeing a nice rejection higher. No, it's not that crazy that we came into that because we had no monthly vertical gap higher as well. Let's remove everything. All right, so this monthly vertical gap right there. Then on the weekly, we also have a nice rejection right there. The first target on the weekly time frame is that weekly vertical gap. So that is already a drawn liquidity right there. That is a very, very good looking drawn liquidity for me. That's very nice. I like that a lot. On the daily time frame, we also are potentially creating a daily vertical gap right there. So after creating that daily vertical gap, we might actually be very bullish on this, on Euro Canadian dollar, where if we follow along with the monthly, then the first targets would be this high and eventually this high right there. And then we have a very small vertical gap that is sitting right there as well. So that is actually pretty interesting to me. So let's see what we want to do at this weekly vertical gap. But that weekly vertical gap is a pretty clear target for me, as in that drawn liquidity is pretty clear. It's pretty confident, 99% confident that it is going to trade into that weekly vertical gap. And what is it going to trade off of? It can create a daily vertical gap right there to continue higher off of that. In this case, I would not go into the 4 hour. I would prefer to wait for the daily vertical gap. But if you do want to go into the 4 hour, you have daily or 4 hour vertical gaps to work with there as well. So that could also be very nice. Could also be very nice. I do quite like this. I like this. Thank you, Aiko. Thank you. Can you say this is all we need to study to become profitable? 100% shoes here. 100%. 100%. For sure. Let me see. Yeah, it looks very interesting, Mel. It looks very interesting. How to be a part of the money-making team, please. You can go to the link in the description. The first link in the description. Or you can also send me an email. I will also be going over my emails as well. If you're interested, then send me an email. GBP JPY. GBP JPY. Let's see. What are we doing? We have the monthly vertical gap that we touched on as well right there. And then we have the weekly. Weekly is disrespecting everything here. Currently, I like the idea of still going long, or shorts. We have the daily vertical gap right there with the daily order block as well right there. All right. We have daily vertical gap, daily bullish vertical gap, but I think, or I would like to see price trade into that as a target, the first target for this week. After that, we can target that monthly vertical gap that's sitting there as well. On the 4 hour right here, if we can load. I will go over it, Nabil. I will go over it. If you do I need to go over my emails actually as well, and I didn't have the chance just yet. But if if you aren't, just send me an email. I will go over them 100%. No worries, no worries. Thank you, Eduardo. Thank you. Appreciate that a lot. No worries, Nabil. I will go over it 100%. From DJ Khaled. What's up, DJ Khaled? How are you doing? When are you dropping a new song? DJ Khaled. That's funny. So in here, I would like to see a 4-hour Vega being created as well. Now here, it's again the same premise where we potentially create 4-hour Vega lower, and we also have the daily Vega right there. So then it's, again, that is not that high probability. So what you would want to do is want to wait for more Verweigers and disrespecting that bullish Verweiger. That is what you would want to see ideally right there. But that is quite interesting. I do like the idea of shorts here. They're very, very nice actually. So what I do visual, I don't really backtest. I only live. I do live trades, live trading with real money. Backtesting for me is very useless, and it's extremely unhealthy, I believe. I will go over a Bitcoin game. No worries, my friend. No worries. Exactly, Eric. Exactly, Eric. Yeah, there's a lot of my mindset comes from that book as well. 100%. 100%. Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate that a lot. $20 JPY, of course, my friend. Did I already go over it? I'm not too sure. So, oh yeah, I like the idea of taking longs here of that daily Verweigap right there, and that daily order block. So that daily Verweigap right there, that is what I would want to see. And then eventually, I like the idea of targeting that high right there. That is very interesting to me. That is very interesting. DJ Khaled. That's too funny. $10 CHF. Let's see, Mel. Love that, Sean. Love that. Love to see it. The order block rejection, which one do you mean? Which one? I can potentially do live streaming on YouTube, but I don't know. I don't really see the benefit of that. As in, yeah, of course, there's a benefit for everyone here. But if I don't teach you the full concepts, as in the mentorship concepts, then what do I have to talk about? I have to keep it very mysterious almost to get to an entry right there on YouTube. But I can, of course, do live breakdowns as well. That's what I can do. I'm doing great, Roshan. Thank you. $10 CHF, how are you doing, Roshan? How are you? Any plans of riding a day? Riding a day? What do you mean, my friend? What do you mean? All right, let's see. Let's see. What are we doing? So this month for Vegap right there, that is pretty interesting actually. Mel, I believe Mel said this, right? Yeah, that week month for Vegap right there, we are not really respecting it. So in this case, I am already on the monthly a bit 50-50, but on the weekly, I do prefer almost higher prices, I would say. So on the daily time frame, we're also just not respecting that monthly value at all. Again, we can still continue lower off it, but we might just want to target the opposing liquidity, which is sitting right there. So in this case, I'm not too sure on what it wants to do actually, but I do see that it's not respecting that monthly value, but I also don't really see any clear discount rates that we can head higher from. That is the most part. That is the thing I'm not really sure about on what it wants to do right there. That is one. CHF JPY, we missed it. Let me see. So currently, Mel, on this one, I would prefer long price if we can get a clear discount rate or can trade into a clear discount rate. CHF JPY. Let's see. What are we doing on a monthly? Ooh, very close to the monthly fair value gap right there. That is nice. That is lovely. Disrespecting. Yeah, this is still the same idea, right? We have this weekly fair value gap, weekly order block. It's likely not going to get respected because we have this monthly fair value gap right there. not the daily time frame. But are we seeing the last fair value gap we had was right there? So if we can trade into that, do we have something on the weekly actually? No, if we can trade into that, that could be very interesting. So we could trade lower off of that as well. That could be very nice. That could be very nice. On the 4 hour right here, yeah, I would prefer to wait for the daily trade into that daily fair value gap, continue lower off of that towards the monthly fair value gap as well. That could be very interesting. Yeah, it's correct, Asim. Asim, you're right. Yeah, I am having a cold. Thank you for noticing, Asim. It's funny that you noticed that. Thank you for that. Appreciate that a lot. Yeah, and you're correct. The audio is not that great as well. There's currently no shoes here. There's currently no free Discord, but I don't know. There might be an ID there, but I'm just not sure how to approach it. That's what I'm thinking about. That's what I'm thinking about. What's up, Eve? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Yes, Smeekabine. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a great observation, actually. Mm-hmm. Let's see. All right, perfect. What's up, Jordan? What's up? What's up, Jordan? If you would like to, can you please give me keep me updated as well? Would love that. Would love that. Keep me updated on your progress. Let me know what you think of it, etc. I would love that. Of course, Hisham. Of course, you can be, but it is important to note that to be able to be profitable, you need to have the right mindset. But of course, we can't blame everything on mindset. But it's very important to note that you need to be individually great, as in I can teach you some things, but your own understanding is very important to understand. Love from Ina, love to see it. Love to see it. When it comes to looking at USD pairs, what's better, Forex or futures prices? Well, what I do is just Forex. It's easier for me, but you can also use the futures prices. But the futures prices, they just mostly reflect Forex prices. So in that case, yeah, not too sure. The only real benefit you can have of the futures price is that the price action is always the same. So there's an official price action, as in you just have, I don't know, what is it, ICE US? ICE US or anything like that. Whereas in Forex, you of course have Forex.com, you have this, you have that. So it's a bit different. You can send me an email, Mark. Email me at info@ario.io. Or if you are interested, you can also look at the link in the description. Shoes here. It's because I was still developing as well. But I'm sorry. Maybe if I was born a little bit earlier, I would have been here earlier. That's funny. Which pairs would you recommend to trade if you're in Australia, especially right now? Yeah, that's funny. You can look at Australian dollar pairs. Australian dollar pairs, because they usually have, what you see is they have news. Well, for me, it's very late at night. It's like 9 p.m. New York local time. What you can do then is you can trade the Asia session perfectly fine, because there's a lot of volatility in that Asia session as well. So that's what you can do. It's perfectly fine. Australian dollar pairs, those are very interesting. Adam, for Euro US dollar, I do also consider Euro news, but US news is more important for me. So I would always prefer US dollar news. And Euro news, yeah, I do also consider. 100%. And you're dope. The way you teach is so simple yet so deep. Thank you. Man, John, appreciate that a lot. Appreciate that a lot. It means a lot to me. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. How many trades do you normally take a week? I think it's around, it depends on the trading plan, because the flow trading plan that I have is more so active. As in this week on NASDAQ, I actually just looked at one day and we got to that trade ID right there. And then there's multiple trade opportunities in a single day. Filtering process that I use, which is my delirium model, which I mainly use when I'm actually at home or just in the Netherlands. Then I mainly take one trade a week. There's also 1-2 trades a week. Great opportunities, as in very high probability opportunities. So yeah. Euro CHF. Well, let's see. Did we go over it? Let me see. What are we doing? Yes, we also were in this monthly order block and that monthly value gap that is sitting right there. So let's see, what are we doing right there on a weekly basis? We have the weekly value gap bullish right there. All right. So from what I can see already is that I would want to see, I would prefer lower prices currently. And the first target being that weekly value gap that's sitting right there. That is what I would prefer. Then afterwards, if we can disrespect that weekly value gap, then we can target those lows as well. So that is pretty interesting, actually. That is pretty interesting. But I would need some kind of bearish price action right here to work with first. So bearish value gaps, etc. It is, Tom. It is very hard not to trade. And the thing, well, let me show you my experience from that as well. It's that it's hard not to trade, as in when there wasn't a trade opportunity that fits my trading plan for a particular day, then what I used to do back in the days, I would go into the charts and I would look at the day and I would just see a move and I would say, all right, how can I get involved? And I would change my whole trading plan to fit that particular day. So tomorrow I might have a different day and then I would do the same process. And then eventually I got to 0 trades because, yeah. But yeah, less is actually more, 100%. Mel, my broker is usually what I use is forex.com. But I've also noticed, this is funny actually, because sometimes I call out things on forex.com and they don't happen, as in a sting to a value doesn't happen, but on Owanda, it does happen. And then I just missed the complete move. So it's like, yeah. It's like, yeah, pick your poison in that case. Canadian dollar CHF, of course, Alex, my friend. Of course. Let's see. What are we doing? We are completely disrespecting that monthly value gap. Like, completely. We have this swing high right there. Could be a first target. So how can we continue higher? We have a weekly value gap sitting right there, which is very interesting. Yeah, we on a daily is not. I would go off the weekly right here. Once we reach into that weekly value gap, I would want to see one bullish 4-hour value gap higher right there. That is already enough for me to target new highs, to target that monthly target that we have right there. So that is pretty interesting, actually. Pretty interesting. Yeah, we do, DJ Keller. We do, brother. We do. All right. Then I'm going to end it here before my internet and my data as well dies. Then I want to thank you all for being here, and I will see you at the next one. I will try to see if we can also do some more on Tuesday or Wednesday. Let me know which day you prefer, actually, or we can sort of see which day is lower probability, etc. Then we can schedule a live stream on that day as well. Let me know which one you would prefer. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all. Excuse me again for the internet, etc. and the setup. It's a bit iffy right now, but I'll be back as soon as possible. All right, perfect. Thank you.